I'm Ryan Mullenbeck, Market Development Agronomist with Cargill in the Rosetown and Kindersley area. Today I'd like to talk to you about early spring spraying and the effects of temperature and water. At this time of year, there's a lot of questions that come up about spraying crops for the pre-seed operation. Often they revolve around water volume, plant growth, and how cold is too cold. So to start off with, when we're talking about spraying, the right water volume is always looking at the label and following the label directions as set out by the manufacturer. But some criteria that we have to keep in mind is that first, the spray must reach the target. Second, there must be enough water droplets to sufficiently cover the target. And third, the droplets must be in a form that allows the pesticide to be efficiently taken up. A general rule of thumb is that in a lot of cases, 5 gallons per acre will work in most situations. This lower water volume with systemic herbicides such as glyphosate, 2,4-D, and tribenuron will be concentrated and better absorbed into small weeds that are seen at pre-seed. Since the targets are small and few drops are going to hit the leaves, we want to make sure that we have a concentrated solution for these systemic herbicides. When it comes to other chemicals that rely on contact, such as bromoxynil, carfentrazone, and sulflufentanil, higher water volumes of 10 gallons per acre may be needed in order to cover the leaf surface and effectively kill the weed. As we often have a systemic and a contact in the same tank at this time of year, 7.5 gallons can be a good trade-off. After we get a frost, we want to wait 3 to 4 days to assess the situation of the weeds to make sure that they're still actively growing. We want to wait till we have at least one night where the minimum temperature is 5, and also a good growing day with lots of sun and warm temperatures. Good growing temperatures are going to make sure that the weeds get growing again, and that we also have seen any evidence of frost damage on the weeds. If we've had a heavy frost below -2, we want to check for damaged tissues, and if there's more than 40% of the leaf gone, we want to make sure that there's more leaf growing to take on the chemical. Weeds that are stressed and weakened by frost are not more susceptible to herbicide. In fact, the herbicide will be less likely to take effect on these weakened weeds. So always make sure that you read the label instructions and follow the manufacturer's performance guidelines for any products that you may be using. One thing to do keep in mind is that if you have a lot of acres to cover and you have to wait 3 to 4 days to get that pre-seed operation in, you are better off to spray right away. Even though you have reduced efficacy, your performance of the crop will be better than if you hadn't done any pre-seed application at all and just went in and seeded. If you look out on the field and you think that you don't have any weeds growing, I would really recommend to go out and scout with one of our agronomists or sales reps and take a look around. There's usually more weed pressure than can be seen at first glance. Also, if you do seed before you do a pre-seed application due to low weed pressure, make sure the application is done before ground crack to reduce any chance of crop injury. If you're using a soil applied product, it is best to get it on the ground as soon as possible. Many of them require moisture in order to get into the soil profile and provide that barrier that controls weeds. You should have those chemicals on the ground as soon as the land can support the sprayer, and it may require you coming back with a glyphosate and tank mix operation later on before seeding. After spraying glyphosate, we want to wait at least 24 hours before we seed the crop. If we have large perennial weeds, 3 days with good warm sunny conditions would be better, and 5 is the recommendation if it's cloudy and cool. Contact herbicides tend to work very quickly, and since they're usually mixed with glyphosate, we'll be waiting on that to take effect. When we spray pre-seed, cold weather can often result in poor performance of glyphosate and other herbicide. Cloudy days where the high is below 10 degrees and also nighttime lows below 5 degrees will result in less biological activity of the weeds and less herbicide activity. We want happy, healthy growing weeds to take on that chemical readily and give us better performance.